How many of you guys are exhausted and stressed? College students not only have to go to class and complete hours of homework, but they have to do everything else an adult does, like paying bills and going to work. We live in a society where a college degree is incredibly valuable, and especially for those who want to live in the Bay Area, this is only doable if you have a college degree. By the commencement of my presentation, I will have persuaded my audience to agree that attendance should no longer be mandatory within all college courses. A student's success is not based off of their attendance in the classroom, but rather by the work they complete and the grades they receive. Attendance is a huge problem for some students who need to enroll in several classes and or need to work to pay off these classes. We need colleges to initiate a policy that makes attendance not count towards an individual's overall grade. As a working full-time student, I can attest through firsthand experience the struggle that exists within the educational system, while still trying to support myself financially. I'm sure all of you guys can agree life would be a whole lot easier if attendance was not a critical component to one's overall grade. There is a huge population of students who have to pay financially out of pocket for their schooling. According to College Board, the average cost of tuition and fees for the 2017-18 school year for a private school is $34,740. For a public school for in-state residents, it's $9,970. And for a public school for out-of-state residents, it's $25,620. Some students qualify for financial aid, but for an increasing amount of students, they are forced to take out student loans and or pay out of pocket. In addition, some students have other financial obligations such as paying rent, car payments, insurance, among other bills. These other financial obligations make it mandatory for them to work. Schools and professors at these learning institutions need to be sympathetic and knowledgeable to different styles of learning. With that said, they should be understanding to students who don't respond well to sitting in a classroom for long periods of time or listening to monotonous lectures. There are 7 different styles of learning. They are spatial, auditory musical, linguistic, kinesthetic, interpersonal, mathematical, and intrapersonal. With that said, not everyone benefits from in-person teaching. Finally, mental health can be a huge factor in a student's success. Sometimes one's mental state can affect one's ability to succeed. The American Psychological Institution did a survey on mental health across America, and they found that anxiety is the top concern among college students, with 41.6% of these students suffering from anxiety, depression, 36.4% of these students suffered from depression, and 35.8% of students suffered from relationship problems. In addition, they had these problems were a continuing growing problem. There are many reasons why students suffer from mental health problems, specifically when they are attending college, such as having to work long hours while balancing studying, attending class, and completing homework. Mandatory attendance is a problem because some students can't afford to go to class all the time. They need to work extra hours in order to pay for their classes, creating potential time conflicts. If a student is enrolled full-time, this immense workload can take a toll on one's cognitive and behavioral capacities, which can affect their overall mental and physical health. This problem pertains to everyone here today because we are all students or have been students. My close friend Vanessa attends UC Santa Barbara, and she recently transferred out from Chabot. Originally, she had to decline her acceptance outside of high school due to financial restrictions. Unfortunately, she had to take off a quarter because she was unable to afford attending UCSB because she couldn't work all the time like she used to at Chabot because of strict attendance policies. Now she's back home working 2 full-time jobs in order to afford the following quarter. This whole ordeal took a huge mental toll on her as well, resulting in increased anxiety and depression, and she now has to see a psychiatrist to help her maintain her sanity. Course grades should be based off of one's overall knowledge of the material, not on one's presence within the classroom. If a student is paying for his or her courses, it should be their responsibility of how the information of the material is retained. I know several individuals who still are incredibly successful in classes, and don't necessarily go to class every day. Regardless, the material they needed to retain was achieved in one way or another, and not necessarily because of any not necessarily because they actively partook in the classroom. While attendance shouldn't be mandatory, this policy could lead to students never attending class and possibly a rise in failing grades. But it is my opinion that if a student knows how they learn best, they will do better by being in the classroom and they will attend on their own accord. This will work because it will eliminate students being disengaged and squirreling in the classroom when they have mandatory classroom participation. It will also encourage students who don't learn well in long hours in a classroom to be able to excel on a more self-taught basis, allowing them to succeed. This will work because whether attendance is mandatory or not, the students who desire to succeed will. They will complete their work and get good grades on assignments and tests regardless. By eliminating an attendance policy in regards to college courses, it not only encourages students to learn the material, but it'll also promote grading based off of what they actually have learned. In addition, students will be better able to juggle working and hopefully get more sleep as well. College students are notorious for having little sleep, and oftentimes this is not because of excessive partying, but rather from a heavy course load and job obligations and financial duties. I took a survey of 44 college students on SurveyMonkey that contained 8 questions on how many hours they work a week, and how often do they skip class, and why, tuition costs, and financial obligations. My results showed that on average, students worked around 30 or more hours a week, and some students worked upwards of 40 hours. They were enrolled in 12 or more units, with a majority of students maintaining a full course load. Some of these students responded that they received financial aid, but about 80% of the students were paying 4 digits out of their own pockets for tuition. In addition, every single person had other financial obligations such as car payments, rent, utility bills, groceries, and insurance. This can be a lot to balance for individuals who do not possess a college degree, so they have to work low-paying jobs. When asked how often do they skip class, these students reported that they skipped an average of 35% of all their classes. So for someone who's approximately taking 12 units, they would be skipping on average about 2 classes a week. The reasons behind skipping class were pretty universal, and they said work, finding the class boring, and just having fatigue. They also reported that they've all had professors who have docked down their grade for missing class or being late. Overall, college is an incredibly stressful environment, and 89% of these students surveyed rated on a scale of 1 to 10 a 7 or above stress level. 27% of these reported a level 10 stress. These survey results are reflective of an average student's college experience because they come directly from the college students themselves. This data is important for colleges to understand and see because these are growing issues and are obviously important ones because of the high volume of results. If we as students come together and got a poll of everyone who agrees with this action, we could demonstrate to the board that the need for this policy and get it implemented. Let's face it, college life is tough and unaffordable at times. Sometimes we as students need some time out of class to work and or deal with other situations that we have at hand. So long as we do our work and get the grades we deserve, why does attendance even matter?